Guys, it's 9. We're going to go ahead and get going. Guys, thank you everyone for being here today. We're here for our budget workshop. I'm going to ask Commissioner Mason, you gonna give us a prayer? All right. And Commissioner Henderson, you'll lead us in our pledge. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let us all bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us back to this place one more time. And we thank you for all that you've done for us and all that you are about to do. God, we come giving you glory and giving you honor and thanks just for being who you are. God, we ask that as we move into this budget meeting and this budget week, God, that you would give us clarity. You will give us a great mind to ensure that everything aligns up according the way that it needs to so that we can ensure that our community and our county is being ran properly, God. And we just thank you. Even as all the presenters come, we ask that you give them clarity of mind and give them clear presentations. And God, we just thank you for allowing us to be the Levites and the servants, God, to be able to lead this community. We ask you to give us the wisdom, the knowledge, and the understanding to be all that you've called us to be and to do all that you've called us to be. And we'll be forever grateful and thankful. We give you all the kingdom, honor, and the glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank both of you for that. Guys, today we are here for our budget workshop again. Each department will have approximately 15 minutes. I'm going to make sure that we stay on time and be mindful of your counterpart because I know they want to get their budget presented as well. I'm now going to turn it over to Jarvis and Ms. Brittany.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our 2023 budget workshop. For the next few days, our county departments, elected officials, and appropriation will present their budgets, proposed budgets for the 2023. We are going to start off with the BOC budget, and I'll present that one. For the BOC budget, we are projecting a modest 3% increase for this upcoming budget, and the increase is attributed to the followings: regular non-appointed employee step increases, registration for upcoming training. We have noticed throughout the budget this year, because of COVID the last 2 years, we've seen several of the departments are requesting for in-person training due to the last 2 years of COVID. Overall, we also would like to note for the entire budget, there are some factors that are reflecting the increase for the 2023 budget. The step increase, which reflect a 4 to 4.5% for all employees, is in the proposed 2023 budget. An estimated 7% increase for our insurance is reflected in the budget. All of our capital projects totaling about $8.5 million is reflected in our proposed budget. And a proposed pension plan, which is about $3.5 million, is reflected in our budget. Any questions?
Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Sims. So I'm looking here at the budget difference. It looks like there's a $59,762 increase. Do you mind pointing out where that is? And I'm just looking at the 2022 revised budget in comparison to the 2023 department budget. The total.
You are referring to the BOC budget, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm just trying to figure out where that 59,762.
Sure, so if you would notice in the regular employee salary, there's a difference there from
Okay.
2022 in comparison to 2023. Also, the line item that reference dues and fees, there's a difference there. And those are the
Okay.
major areas where the differences are in the BOC budget.
Okay.
Everything else is flat.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Sure, and we were on page number 4 and 5.
Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, Mr. Sims, so tell me again the employee increases, the step increases. What percentage was that? 4.5?
Yes, my understanding is a 4.
It varies. Sorry, it varies, but it's an average of about 4 to 4.5%.
So that is in keeping with the previous steps, the program we put in place previously? Okay.
Yes, correct.
Because this budget season for me is going to be a concern, not just the budget season, but I have a concern for our turnover, our recruitment and retention, and the competitive nature of the entire private and government sector right now. So I want to make sure we're staunch enough in that particular area that we're going to be able to retain our employees, at least the financial piece for the employees. I know we talked before about the work environment itself and having creating a work environment that people want to work in, but the money piece is a big portion of that, as you know. So, but I want to make sure, and I believe our HR director had told me not too long ago she was about to do another study.
That's what I was just about to add, sir. Yes, our HR director, Director Shoemaker, is working on a compensation study, and we should be having that before you all soon.
Okay. Well, I think the 4.5 is a good place to be. But I want to make sure, and this is such a contrast of where I was 5 years ago. I want to make sure if that study comes back that we are willing, I hope the board will be willing to reinvest in our employees again. So just putting that out there. But thank you. That answers my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You got something, Commissioner Henderson?
Thank you. Question that I have is that, and I don't know whether it's the right time to kind of ask that question. I think, Mr. C, you had said that you were going to, you were working to make sure that somehow or another the employee gets a defined benefit plan.
Yes, sir.
I'm just trying to figure out where it's at, and so I can maybe take a look at it.
Yes, sir. The HR director is actually working on that as we speak. And thank you for bringing that up. That kind of speaks to what Commissioner Edwards was saying a while ago, to make sure that we can start retaining our employees. So retention is a must now. As you know, people are leaving, going elsewhere where they do have plans at. So thank you for bringing that up.
And I would like to just add, Mr. Chairman, that we've heard you all concerns about retention, and we value our employees, and it's reflective in the budget. We are presenting a proposed defined plan, and it's reflected about $3.5 million, which is a pension, as well as the step increase. So those two things are reflective of how we are showing we value our employees.
And if I could just add, Mr. Chairman.
Mm-hmm.
I also add that I think that's a piece, but also it's a piece of, I think it's Commissioner Edward had kind of talked about maybe a little bit about in law enforcement too as well. I don't think that it would be easy to attract employees or officers or deputies when you got them old cars and stuff riding around, I think cars and benefits, defined benefit plans makes a big difference as far as hiring people and retention.
Completely agree. You guys, anything else before we go to finance?
No, sir, I don't. Thank you.
Thank you. We got 1 minute before we get to finance. Anything else? Thank you. Finance, is that Ms. Brittany?
Good
Yes.
morning. The finance portion of the book begins on page 8 of your workshop book. The finance department budget reflected an overall 3% increase for the year, and a majority of this is from the step increases, as well as a lot of our contracts have natural built-in 3% to 5% increases for the year. We did not add anything additional this year. Under our professional contracted services, you will find our audit fees, as well as our fees for our Tyler Technology annual maintenance plan. And then in our maintenance agreements, you will also find our maintenance for our software, as well as the maintenance for our financial transparency module. We had a slight increase in our travel and training due to mileage increase this year in the IRS rates. And then we are looking to send an additional personnel to training this year. And then we also did increase our supply budget by $500 just because of the increase in paper and supplies that we've been seeing recently. But everything else in our budget is pretty stagnant to what it was last year. And I'm glad to take any questions that anybody has.
Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you. Excuse me, I'm just kind of snacking on a bag of chips. Forgive me, I'm just a little hungry this morning. As far as what is the number of our fund balance, or excess cash, or emergency funding, whatever you might want to call it?
Our fund balance at the end of FY21 was right around $39 million.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Thank you, Finance. Commissioners, please be reminded that you will have an opportunity to go into discussion at 3:45 today. At 3:45, you will have an opportunity to go into discussion. Elections. We're a little ahead of time, so we're going to keep it moving. You, since you're here. Good morning.
I think you all were, my name is Angela White Davis. I'm the Director of the Board of Elections. I think you all have been provided my report?
Yes, ma'am.
A report?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ask any questions at any time, okay? The only changes that I actually requested this time, it was a slight increase for the technical support, because as you know, our voting units that we use, Dominion, was purchased in 2020. So a lot of the warranties, a lot of the support that was provided for us for 2020, the state actually took on that expense. So starting in 2021, the county is kind of taking on that expense now. In 2022, we've taken on a little more expense. Right now, we have about 332 units for voting and 35 scanners. I did purchase 2 additional scanners for this upcoming election, and I have provided warranties for those scanners and also warranties for the poll pad. Some of our advertising has increased because of the SB 202 rule. Anytime changes are made, notices that have to be provided to the voter. Previously, we were able to put it in the newspaper and run it under legal. Now we have to run a specific size in the newspaper, so that $40 went to $295. Now also the additional cost with the advertising, because we are relocating some of our polling locations. We have not reduced our polling locations. We still have 22. Some of the churches chose not to become precincts for this upcoming election, so we were able to move to larger locations. So with that being said, at this point, I have 5 locations that I will now have to provide a sign that is 4 foot by 4 foot in front of those locations to notify the voter that your location is not at location A now, it has to be moved to location B. So pricing wise for that sign, I'm still working on that, and I should have that by the end of the week, but it's probably gonna be about 200 for each sign. So that's why my advertisement went up. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Any good questions for election, guys? Commissioner Mason?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Ms. Angela.
You're so welcome.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.
So are we increasing any of our, are we gonna have to increase any of our employees due to increasing sign-in stations and all of that?
Yes.
Are we gonna we're
Good
gonna have
question,
to increase
and
all
I
of
should have
that?
covered that. As far as the poll workers are concerned, since 2016, don't quote me, 2016, 2015, poll workers were being paid, the clerk was being paid $105 for a 16-hour day. So that has been increased. The poll managers now are going to be paid $250, assistants are being paid $150, and poll clerks are being paid $120. As far as hourly poll workers, which is the absentee teams that come in and help us with mailing out ballots, processing absentee applications, assisting with advanced voting, they have been moved from $9 an hour to $11 an hour. The compensation is well earned. That's a long day. It's a lot of pressure. As far as advanced voting is concerned, with that SB 202 rule, where we normally did 3 weeks for advanced voting, which was only 15 days, we're now doing 17. So you're throwing in 2 Saturdays, and you're throwing in an optional Sunday. So we still have to compensate them for that. But thank you, Commissioner Mason. I should have said that too. But they have been compensated, and they needed it badly.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Henderson?
Any other questions?
Yes, ma'am, have just one, First Lady.
Yes, sir.
The question that I have, first of all, I'd like to thank you for doing a very good job.
Thank you.
I mean, shoot, you really got it. You got it going on.
Thank you.
I mean, somebody call you, they get the information, not tomorrow, not the next day, not hold on the phone, but you get it right then. And majority of the time, they get it straight from you.
I appreciate that.
I was thinking, and somebody helped me out a little bit, maybe our county manager. I was thinking minimum wage is $15 an hour. So maybe I got lost somewhere. So what's the minimum wage?
I think the minimum wage is 11 something. As far as some cities and counties now are having what is called a livable wage of $15 an hour. So they are doing that on their own. But as far as by the federal law, the minimum wage is still something $11 an
Okay.
hour.
So our minimum wage here in Newton is $11
For
an
poll
hour.
workers, we're talking poll workers.
Oh, well, I was-
Seasonal contract.
Okay, yes, ma'am, I understand that, but I just thought it was just some across the board, everybody get the same amount of pay. That's what I was thinking. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're gonna go on to GSI. I'm sorry, no, we're gonna go on to information systems. Greg, thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Greg Mann. I am your Information Systems Director, and I'd like to share with you some of the details of what we have going on this coming fiscal year. Some of the goals we have, we're going to continue to protect the county communications network infrastructure from cyber attack, and we're going to continue to have a high performance and availability rate. We're going to help oversee the upgrade of the audiovisual systems in courtrooms 1 through 3. This project is not in our budget, but we will play a major part in planning and implementation. We would like to implement a secondary private fiber connection between the admin building and the Judicial Center. The Judicial Center is our largest customer of data. It's going to allow for redundancy and greater speed for our local data backups. Right now, we have one private fiber connection between the two buildings, but to implement some faster local data backups and to move some storage devices over there for some sort of disaster recovery, we need to go ahead and install a secondary fiber connection. I would also like to implement a secondary internet connection, also for redundancy and for the deployment of cloud-based data backup services. I want to have 3 copies of our data. I want to have a copy in our data center, I want to have a copy at the Judicial Center, and I want to have a copy in the cloud just in case. I'd also like to deploy a managed network security solution to assist us in monitoring the county data network. That's very, very critical in this day and age, as you all know. We're also going to assist Tim and his staff with the deployment and configuration of their new virtual server environment. We do have about a 10% budget increase, and I'd like to go over with you those details. Increase in maintenance agreements. I guess I need to hit the little button here. Oh, you got it. There's the secondary private fiber connection. That's going to be one of our increases. And the secondary internet connection and the managed network security solution. And this all comes back to item D on the strategic plan. Under professional and contracted services, I want to engage a third-party cybersecurity firm to conduct a county network-wide security assessment. This is going to include network penetration testing. Basically what this does is this is very aggressive testing from outside our network, including our firewalls and all of our cloud providers. This would also include a business process review. This will include finance, HR, and management to determine any kind of weaknesses or vulnerabilities we have with our business processes. We want to test our internal network security. What this does is it mimics an internal network user with full access to a desktop and applications to identify those vulnerabilities. There'll be discussions on the threat scope, vulnerability, remediation, and compliance topics. And these items also go back to item D of the strategic plan, and that wraps up our projected increases for FY23.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, guys? Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for that. And thank you for tying your increases to the strategic plan. Question: you mentioned early on about doing audio-visual work for the Judicial Center, and not in your budget. So that's coming out of a budget over there, right? I mean, that's how that's going to work?
I believe that's capital.
Is that the one? Is that the one at Judge Bell's office?
No, this is for courtrooms 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, yeah, that's capital.
Yeah. Right now, Walton County, they're in the design build phase of their courtroom upgrades, and Jeff Prine, he's the project manager over there. Like I said, they're in the design build phase. What I'm hoping to do is take a look at what they're doing and hopefully model what they're doing and maybe use some of their same contractors. Maybe we can get some price discounts if we do maybe a 2-for-1 deal. I'd like to model what we're doing after what they're doing, because the judges are heavily involved with that project. If we can use the same methodologies, maybe some of the same hardware, maybe we can get a discount.
I got you. And the other thing was the cyber security and the heightened awareness of that in today's environment. I'm hoping, you know, by the time we get this deployed, what you're talking about deployed, I'm hoping it's enough and it's in time. You know, so I think we should, you know, if this budget's approved, that should be priority number 1, I believe, at both in the external and the internal testing.
Absolutely. The deployment of the Managed Network Security Service, I'm actually going to deploy that probably next month. I've got enough in my budget this year to go ahead and deploy that so we can get a head start. About every other week, I get flash messages from the Homeland Security Information Network. Matter of fact, there is a flash call today at 2:30 this afternoon regarding cybersecurity incidents and everything that's going on in the world. It seems like some days I have 2 or 3 webinars a day on cybersecurity threats.
Do you know if we have any, and this may be a question for HR, but if we have any cybersecurity insurance tied into our property and casualty insurance with the county? Do you know if that's?
I have filled out applications for that and sent them to Pamela Maxwell on HR. I'm pretty sure we do have a cyber insurance plan in place.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. Do we know how much it is? I mean,
It's on the regular property and casual insurance bill. I don't know if it's broke out, but I can look it up and see.
that's a, being held hostage can cost us a lot of money. So I just checking. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. County Manager?
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to add that our IT director as well as our GIS, they're also looking for innovative projects to enhance our website and just to make our citizens more user-friendly utilizing technology. So we're doing some other things as well.
Thank you. Commissioner Mason?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Mr. Sims, is that already included in this current budget, or is that something that is like updating the website, making it more user-friendly? Is that in the budget that we're talking about now, or is that future, like say 2023 budget?
Included in our original contract with the original redesign of the website 4 years ago, I believe during year 5, we were entitled to one free remake, so to speak. There would be additional charges for a mobile app and the digitization of a lot of the PDF forms that are on the website and make them more user-friendly.
Okay, so that is in this current budget as we speak right
That
now?
is not in the current budget. We have, we're just starting discussions with Civic Plus, the vendor.
Okay. So it's a possibility we may have to come back and add to
Correct.
the budget based off of what we find out, what the expense or cost is gonna
Possibly, yes.
be. We'll probably have
Yes.
to amend the budget.
That's
for-
correct, but if we are able to see where we can find some funding in the remaining 22 budget, we are kind of looking at some projects now as well. So we've started the early discussions with having our website redesigned, looking at some technology so our citizens can, just have more access to technology utilizing mobile apps. So we're looking at those things right now.
Great. I think that's amazing, and I think we need to do that. We need to upgrade the website. We need to look into mobile apps. I think that's phenomenal. So I think that'll be a great investment that we should definitely move forward with and figure out if we do have some funds in 2022 that we can help make sure that 2023 budget is balanced. I think that'll be great. Thank you, Mr.
I
Chair.
also want to mention that each of the budgets today, they're working budgets. So as we get feedback from you all, we are able to make the changes as well.
Brian and then Commissioner Sanders.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on the website. Like Greg said, we are in our contract with Civic Plus where we are at the point where we get a free upgrade, and I think we just heard back from the lady yesterday. So we're going to meet with her. That's why hopefully if there is any additions, it will be before the public hearings and before you vote on it. But we are in the process of that. So theoretically, this year it wouldn't be needed to be added to the budget, maybe next year when our contract does end and if we start a new one or if we bid out and look for somewhere else. So that's where we are. And then there's an app that we are looking into. We just got the quotes back from that. And that should be able to be added within the week. So before you vote, if there's anything added, it'll be in there.
Commissioner Sanders.
Again, thank you so much for what you do to keep us safe in regards to cybersecurity. I'm a numbers person, so I look at the numbers and I see we have a $96,000 increase from last year.
Correct.
So is there a, like you have contracted work, is it a way that we can utilize some of our employees to do some of this work I know that we have to contract out some of the services, but as citizens, you know, we know about technology. But when the citizens see this, they're gonna see $96,000. So is there a way that we can do something in the budget to kind of sort of get the numbers a little bit down? But if not, I agree with the technology. We have to keep our security safe. We have some information that has to stay safe. But that number is kind of like a huge jump that our citizens are gonna look at, like 96,000 of their tax dollars. So that was my concern.
Yeah, the third-party network evaluation, I believe that's going to run somewhere in the neighborhood of around $23,000. That really needs to be done by an impartial third party to make sure that we get, you know, all the proper results. Yes, the information technology staff, we do have some of the knowledge needed to conduct our own test, but with the scope of all the threats out there today, it really needs to be done by a firm that this is what they do day in and day out. And as far as our fiber upgrades, that's not really something that any of our employees can really handle.
Thank you. County Manager?
Yes, Commissioner Sanders, again, with the increase, the majority of that increase is reflected with the step increase for the employees. If you look at the regular employee, on page 12, that's where you will see the increase, most of the increase.
Yeah, and there's an increase also in travel as well, in training, education.
Yes.
I went through the whole thing and circled this one.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else? You, go ahead.
And the increase in travel and training, so are you guys going to more conferences, or can you explain to me? I don't know what. Exactly.
Well, I was actually able to pay for our cybersecurity and email phishing training.
Okay.
I was able to pay for next year's this year. That happened after I'd submitted the budget, so that number may be coming down.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
Sure.
County Manager and then Commissioner Mason.
And I just want to also emphasize that a lot of the training for this year are now in person from the last 2 years where they were virtual. So we will see an increase because a lot of the training companies now are having the training in person.
Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I did see that the education and training was just a $6,000 increase, but what I did notice was a $24,000 decrease in small equipment. What caused that $24,000 decrease in small equipment?
This past fiscal year, we budgeted $24,000 for the replacement of some very old Cisco networking switches in the historic courthouse and a few other places. So those switches have been replaced. We're good to go with those. All the network equipment is functioning properly and it's under warranty. So that's the $24,000 from this previous fiscal year.
Great. Well, I know that'll probably help with some of the other areas where we had to increase. So
Absolutely.
that was good to see. Thank you.
Thank you. No one else? Anyone else?
Can I chime in on one thing as well?
Brittany.
Okay, so currently in the FY 2022 budget, there was an approved new position for the IT department. He has not hired that position yet. It is listed on the county website, so that is reflected in his budget because we do plan to have that position filled for next year's budget. That probably salary and benefits. It's around the difference between the 2022 revised and the 23 department and regular employees. So roughly 60,000. That's well, the 60,000 would include the new position and the increases for the current employees.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
You want to come on up, Tim? Next is GIS, Tim Lawrence.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Yes, I'm here with a brief PowerPoint to go over the GIS FY23 budget. I'll go over some projects that are ongoing in the current year and will spill over until next year. And I've got some pictures I think some folks would want to see. So I've only got about 2 or 3 slides, and I won't read this verbatim, going over some highlights of our budget and some project updates. The first 2 are in the current budget. We've been working with the consultant since November on a next-gen 911 data migration project to help us improve our data, our addressing workflows, and such. That project will be about 30% billed in FY22, 70% billed in FY23, and it is funded 100% by E911. Second project, Greg mentioned, we're in the process of replacing our GIS servers. We're going from physical to virtual, which should reduce cost, and we have a GIS consultant, a separate consultant helping us on that. That'll occur between now and the end of summer. Thirdly and fourthly, we have 2 projects. Both are aerial flyovers. We fly the county anywhere from every 3 to 5 years. It's been 3 years. We last flew in 2020, so we're requesting an approval to fly this winter in 2023. Project cost is about $40,000. And we have funding potential from the Water Authority and the City of Covington, as per usual. One thing that we have never used here in Newton County are what are called oblique images. They are taken in all directions at a 45-degree angle. And I've got some images to show you all of that. Because a lot of times a separate software package is required, the cost is much higher. But the images, I think, will kind of speak for themselves. The bulk of that project will be in the tax assessor's budget. And I believe the chief appraiser is come here tomorrow, so I can come back tomorrow and help her discuss this project a little bit more. But I'll show you some photos in a second. Project cost up to $200,000. One vendor that we spoke to said that the project could be billed over 3 years. So, but I think 100% of it is in Marty's budget for FY23. Budget highlights continued. We are requesting an additional staffer in FY23, and it would be in contingency, but I'd like to request a contingency to a contingency, whereby we want to continue our internship program. We have a very successful college internship program. We've had 10 interns over the last 4 years or so, but we've lost them all. We've never had an opportunity to offer them a job. We have 2 interns now. One has already left to go to City Covington, and another is leaving in May to go to work for an engineering company in Alpharetta. It would be great if this time next year we had the possibility of a new job. So I'll just throw that out there as a contingency. It's not in the budget, but if you guys approve it, then I'm certain we can have an intern on board that we might be able to hire. And we would certainly advertise the position to the outside as well. Second paragraph, we're asking for $14,000 for interns in the next budget year. We rarely approach $10,000. I think currently we're anywhere from right around $6,000. But at minimum, we would like to continue the internship program. But again, we would like to possibly be able to hire somebody at a full-time status. Lastly, we're requesting a $30,000 purchase of a new vehicle. We have a vehicle I think you all approved about 3 or 4 years ago. But it's probably one of the nicer vehicles, so it gets loaned out a lot. We've loaned it out about 12, 13 times recently. We do have 2 older pickups. One is a 1993 F-150 that does not run, and a somewhat newer Ranger that can't be taken out of county. I mean, it's fine for going around town, but it's not somewhere where you can take to Savannah for a conference or Milledgeville for a class, et cetera. So we would seek your approval of a vehicle. And possibly, I know it's maybe not an immediate need, but we can start looking into electric vehicles. Our staff is starting to look at the locations of charging locations throughout the county. So we talked about mobile apps and things we can do to the website. It'd be great to put a web app for the citizens and even tourists showing where electric charging stations are. To my knowledge, there's probably less than 10 around the county. There's one at the city tourism office at the old police department on Conner Street. Georgia Perimeter has a few, Oxford College has a few, but those are probably for their staff only. They're not meant for citizen use, but we'll keep an eye on it. So, and with that, I think I have a lot of photographs I'd like to show you, and I'll be brief. Brian, can you click on that link? If this plays, go back to the PowerPoint and right-click on the click here. Okay. This was just going to be a time-lapse video of ortho photos, which are our normal aerial photos, and those are taken directly overhead. Those are what you're used to seeing. It was just going to be a time-lapse of Stanton Springs growing over the last 17 years. It was just 20 seconds. I'll show you that some other time, possibly when we come back to present the purchase of the orthos. And go ahead and do the, I got it. What I'm about to show you are about a dozen or so images of the oblique imagery that I alluded to. And again, these are taken in all 4 directions at a 45-degree angle. And most of these images are from October, this past October, but some of them are from January. And we've been given a trial membership to view pictometry images from a company called EagleView. This is a project that will be bid out. Obliques are offered by multiple vendors. Here we are looking at this building facing west, and you can also see the Judicial Center with the Judge Johnson improvements made to it. Facing north, this is the Covington Town Center. In the lower, I've got a laser pointer that I can point out. Apartments being constructed on the left-hand side. And then in the lower right would be a new 6 or 7-story hotel that is almost complete. And there's, I think, as many as 3 hotels being planned for that development. One right there, and then this is the apartment complex. This would be, I believe, according to concept plans, a movie theater. I don't know what all specifically is planned, but those are, a lot of those things are being constructed as we speak. This is a different view of those same apartments, a little bit zoomed in, facing south. This is, I guess, the second phase of Facebook, buildings 3, 4, and 5 facing north. And this was in January. This was 2 months ago. Bioscience facility in the upper right, and Takeda parking lot across the street. This is facing south on buildings 4 and 5 of Facebook. This will be very beneficial, I believe, for not only tax assessor staff, but public safety. They can see building height, see the number of stories. The software allows for measurement. This is what was referred to previously as the 3-ring studios near Covington Airport off of Highway 142. It is the Sentinel Studios facing north. I think this is from October. And here's a different perspective of sound stages 3 and 5 facing west. Again, you can get an idea of the building height. Here is Fire Station 8 in Oxford, District 3. I think this is still in October, facing north and facing west, zoomed in a little bit more. Tried to get one of Station 4, but those photos weren't ready. So here's an image of Denny Dobbs Park, some skateboarders on the new concrete. I wouldn't call it half pipe, but this is the new Eastside High School as of October, facing south. Track, ball fields, structure itself, parking lot. I believe this is the main entrance off of 260, or one of the side exits off of 278, and this will be the main entrance off of 142. This is a new retirement apartment complex on the bypass, running left to right at Highway 36. Here's another retirement community off of Turner Lake. I believe this is called Covington Crossing. This is across the street from Turner Lake Park, facing west. GDOT roundabout, Salem Road and Highway 181. And I've got a few slides of the Baymare site, which at this point I think we've left Newton County. I think we're in Walton or Jasper, or Walton or Morgan. This was in January. This was, I think, the end of Newton County. The end of the cul-de-sac is right there. I-20 at the top. This is the old Sewell Road Bridge right there. Previous slide was facing north. This is facing south. Interstate's on the bottom. And a lot of the heavy equipment they were using a few months ago to do some grading and site work.
Thank you. Any questions, guys? Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. I mean, Tim, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah. Next, we have Human Resources. Ms. Amanda?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Per information found in your packet, HR's mission, HR and risk management, is a strategic partner in building a highly skilled, diverse, and motivated team of employees working together to decrease organizational liability and meet the needs of our taxpayers. Our upcoming goals and objective for 2023 is we will commit to decrease organizational risk, increase holistic employee wellness, and enhance employee recruitment and retention efforts in support of the county strategic plan. One of the ways that we are preparing to do this, which is we'll start looking at this for this upcoming year in preparation for next year, is, as you all know, the chairman has mentioned that we're looking at bringing a defined benefits plan to the county for our employees to help with the efforts of not only recruitment, but also retention of employees so that we can be a competitive employer. As well as we're getting ready to put out a request for proposal for a compensation plan study to look at the market rates of other counties and municipalities, as well as public and private sector employees, because what I have been experiencing now in this current market is our competition is not only other governments, but also private and public sector employees, such as McDonald's. Employees are paid $18 an hour starting rate to go work at McDonald's now. So those are some of the things that we need to consider. When I'm looking at the youth or the young people that we employ, they don't care much about benefits per se. All they care about is hourly rate wage. So that's why this class and comp study is the upcoming classification and compensation study is very important from a perspective of recruiting as well as retaining employees. Okay, so I also listed some highlights in terms of what we have accomplished in FY 2022. We rewarded all of our employees for having a no workers' comp injury during the month of March. I don't know whether or not you all remember that, but we gave everybody just a token of appreciation because that was the first month since I have been here in which there were no reported worker comp injuries. We also implemented a Core 360 online safety training program for our new hires. And we pivoted hosting and engaging our employees by having a virtual employee benefits and wellness fair, as well as benefits open enrollment due to the COVID-19 restrictions. That's what we did in FY 22. We're hoping to do something differently now that we're open. We're hoping to get back to having more in-person employment engaging activities. We led in-person and employee service awards and holiday luncheons in support of the employee appreciation program, and that resulted in over 400 of our employees participating in such programs. And one thing that we recently did is, from a perspective of safety and health and wellness, we positioned hand sanitizing stations throughout the central county buildings, and we also led the efforts to hire our new interim county manager. Okay, in looking at the budget for human resources, when you skip past the first couple of pages in terms of positioning, what I am, in terms of positions, what I am requesting is $30,000 in professional contracted services, and those services include the provision of administrative services for our employee FSA and COBRA program, as well as our employee assistant program. And sometimes we have to hire external investigators or external consultants to perform investigations or provide consultant services. So that's why that's increased. I mean, that's why that number is in the $30,000. Is at $30,000. Also, my medical exam budget or request that I'm seeking, I increased it by $10,000 because what I am seeing currently is we're having to send more of our employees out for a fitness for duty assessment. And that's because we have employees that have exhibited workplace behavior that have been deemed to be of concern in terms of their physical, the mental stability to perform their jobs. And so what we have been engaging, we've engaged a partnership with Dr. Faulkner. She already has a vendor's packet with the county because the court system used her, but with employees that we sent out for a fitness for duty exam due to, psychological conditions, Dr. Faulkner charges us $900 per in-depth psychological assessment. She's the only person that we can find in the area to complete that process. And other organizations that I have worked with, in which I have partnered with similar providers, that's the going rate to have such an in-depth psychological evaluation. Also, standard is $2,500 for the telephone services for me as well as my risk manager. $500 for postage, because from time to time we do have to mail out letters to our employees. $2,000 for travel, meals and lodging, as well as mileage, and that's for any HR conferences we would like to attend. The next line item is for $1,700 in dues and fees for HR certifications and memberships. That's one of the things that I heavily stress to my employees is that they receive some type of HR certification. My HR generalists are in the process right now of obtaining their HR certification through the Society for Human Resources Management. And so they will be certified HR practitioners. I'm looking at certifications for my benefits specialist as well. And one of the things that I would hope to do in the future is have my senior HR generalist certified under the level of, it's an organization called World at Work, and they deal specifically with compensation and classification. So if we can look at bringing some of those certifications or upping those experience and having our internal employees perform such services, then that I'm thinking that's less we will have to spend on an external consultant. Next line item is HR trainings in preparation to take the HR certification exams, and that's generally before you take the exam, you have to engage prepping for the exam. When I got my HR certifications, I have I'm dually HR certified. I had to take classes with the University System of Georgia, at UGA, and that class helped me prep for the exam. My current senior HR generalist is currently in that type of program as well. Next line item is $1,000 for my risk manager in terms of training and applicable certifications. One of the things that she has recently been certified in is in CPR, and she's also looking at obtaining certification as a defensive driver teacher, for lack of a better word. So that way, when we offer the defensive driving courses, we can not have to hire somebody externally, but my risk manager will be able to perform those functions for us. So that's where I'm going in terms of the, my thinking with regards to building the aptitude as it relates to HR services and risk management services that we can provide to the county in-house. Next line item is other contracted services, and that's the utilization of our Crystal Springs for our water, as well as the Toshiba, who services our copier. Next line item is general operating supplies and materials. $8,000 is included in that for my office, as well as $2,100 is included in that for my risk manager. And that is because we have a small space, and because of that, we have to buy more shelving units. We have to reconfigure our departments in ways in which other departments, they don't have to think about. And so that's why this expense is, at this level. In addition, I have 6 staff members, and throughout the year, we need, materials, as well as we provide to all of our new employees. We provide them, gift boxes or county swag to welcome them to the county. And so that's why that number is what it is. Under the event supplies, it's $15,000, and that is for our Employee Services Awards program and gifts for the program that we normally host in November of each month. The next line item is employee event supplies, and that is for the employee holiday luncheon, as well as the government employee service week that we engage our employees through various activities. Next line item is a very modest amount, $300, and that's for the fuel that we use to when we drive the HR truck as well as the risk management truck. Next line item I included in the budget is a food line item. When we engaged hiring the county manager, as well as when we hired for the county attorney, or we, implemented the process and we, went through that process. The commissioners, y'all requested food there, and I listened because, that was important to y'all. And we have, a couple of other our executive level items, executive level positions that we're looking to hire for. So I want to make sure that I provide y'all with the provision that you have asked for. So that's why that $2,000 is in this particular line item. Next line item is $500 for HR books and periodicals and materials, so we can stay relevant as it relates to the market, as it relates to what's going on in the world of HR services as well as risk management. And then the next item is just $500 for small equipment if we need to utilize that.
Thank you. Guys, any questions? Commissioner Sanders?
Mine is not on it is on the budget. You just stated you're hiring executive level positions. Do you know what those positions are?
Oh, the county attorney,
Okay.
as well as we still will hire the county manager, a permanent county manager.
Any more questions? Commissioner Henderson?
Thank you. The question that I have, that was on my mind, it was the, I'm still on the $15 an hour for the, for employees just starting work for a county, and somehow or another, maybe I got lost somewhere. And I was thinking that it was the norm, and that everybody who was hired, we started them out with $15 an hour, because I thought that was the minimum wage. And I guess I'm hearing that we don't do that. That the minimum wage here is maybe $7 or whatever. How do we get there?
Well, I'm not aware of any positions in which we're starting them off at $7 an hour. We do have some positions that start off within the $15 an hour range, and those are mostly for like the firefighter recruits. But once they get their certifications, then they bump up to more at a higher hourly wage. Normally 17 something an hour. Yeah. But in terms of the positions that are $7 an hour, I'm not aware of any of those positions that we have in the county.
I think we do have temporary employees. I think they work at the road department. I think they start off at like $10 an hour.
Okay, yeah, we do have those employees that start off at $10 an hour. And that's with the temp services. So we can look at bringing them in.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I just think that, at $15 an hour, it's still hard for anybody to make live pretty good, especially if you get just one person working. And I just think we got to do better, and I think we're moving in the right direction as far as define benefit for our employees. But I think as far as pay, and I think we're the ones who lead by an example. An example should be, at the very minimum, when you work for the county, should be $15 an hour, and have a good retirement plan too as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Anyone else? Thank you so much.
Okay.
Commissioners, you got the opportunity now to go into break until 10:45, Noel? Until, 10:45. Or you can hear from the facilities management. What y'all would like to do? Y'all on a break? Take a break? Okay, let's break. Take a break. We're gonna break until 10:45.
I'm calling you man, woman. I can't, Commissioner, the chips about to kill me. They're killing me.
man, I'm still hurting, dog. Thank y'all, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started back. Everyone is here. Jason, if you want to come on up. Facilities.
All right, are we ready, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Okay. My name's Jason Johnson. I think you guys know who I am. I'm Facilities Director for you guys, and I'm here to present our government buildings and facility management budget. And if it's okay with you guys, I'd like to start down on professional and contracted services. Everything above that in my budget was added by HR, and so they put those calculations and figures in. I'm asking for $15,000 in this line item to continue our agreement with a company called ATA. This will be our third year with them. ATA is a company that monitors all of our energy efficiency, and they started in phase one by doing bill audits and corrective billing, making sure that we were being charged correctly on our utilities. And so we saw pretty significant savings these last 2 years through their services. They're also working in conjunction with a company called ABM, which many of you will know we did a huge energy efficiency upgrade. And so this phase, in phase one, in round numbers, we saw the first year about a 12% savings, and then in the second year we saw about a 6.5% savings. And so they're thinking that if we will do this phase two, which is adding real-time monitoring to our HVAC systems, we potentially could see another huge savings of around $250,000. Also, just as a side note on this line item, I haven't discussed it yet with the fire chief. It would have to come out of his budget, but they also want to begin looking at some fire stations. And so there's a cost associated with that as well, and I'll be getting with the fire chief to see if he wants to have them take a look at his services. But that's the reason for that increase there. And I will tell you, too, if you have questions, you can interrupt me, or you can wait till the end of my budget presentation. I'll be glad to try to answer those questions. Disposal of garbage and the pickup services, there's a slight increase there. Those numbers are based on where we're going to finish this year, and then, of course, no increases from the city of Covington. Repairs and maintenance to equipment, we do have some aging equipment, but I think that we can continue to keep it at its current level with no increase in that line item. As far as repair and maintenance to building, the same. I'd like to try to keep our buildings where they are right now. So I'm not asking for any increase in that line item. The Cousins Center, as it becomes further occupied, you might see some increased maintenance requests over there as we begin or try to decide what we're going to do with that facility. But I think if we kind of stay where we're at right now, we will be okay. Grounds maintenance, you're seeing an increase in. We've added facilities such as Fire Station number 8, the Cousins Center. Public Works added a number of roundabouts that they are now maintaining, as well as the Parks and Rec, the Recreation Commission added several sites that is now being performed under our ground maintenance contract, so you see the increase. I will tell you that, too, we have some additional roundabouts coming online, like the ones at East Side, and then Station number 4 is not included in this yet, and of course, when those sites get finished, we will have to come back before the board and add them to this contract. Security maintenance is just a line item where we do all of our security cameras, our card key systems, our fire alarm monitoring, and that, and there's an incremental increase in the contract pricing this year. Maintenance agreements, there is an incremental increase in that area as well. This is where we maintain our elevators. We have a total of 8 elevators that I'm responsible for. And of course, we have to do and maintain life safety inspections. We're required by the state of Georgia to maintain those areas, those elevators. And then another contract we have under maintenance agreements is we treat all of our water-based HVAC systems with algicides and biocides to prevent rust inhibitors to prevent that buildup in our cooling towers, as well as any deposits inside the piping itself. So you'll see a little increase on that line item as well. The rental of land and buildings, incremental piece. You may say, what is that? That is a little strip of property on the other side of the public defender's office. We rent that from Norfolk Southern, where the trail comes through. So that's what that piece of property is. It was $400 increase in their rent this year. As we move on down to telephone, pagers, and then mobile phones, you'll see a decrease in that line item. We had some other stuff coming out in years past in regards to phones and phone systems and stuff, so I was able to reduce that line item this year, and I think we'll be fine there. Other contract services is where you'll find pest control, our entrance mat services, our Christmas decorations, that sort of thing. There was an increase in that line item. Had several commissioners ask me about increasing the decorations or having our decorations match the ones that are currently the city of Covington does around the square. And so I'd like to continue to try to do that. And that is reflected in this increase. We did it this year because we were celebrating 100 years, and the facilities really look good, and I'd like to try to continue to do that. No increase in general operating supplies and materials, and those are items that just help us operate every day: screws, nuts, bolts, anchors, and duct tape. And if we go on down to energy, and in all these energy and utility line items, they're really hard to predict because you never know what your weather's going to do. In most cases, no matter how warm or cold it is outside, we're using some type of cooling in these offices, especially in the Judicial Center, where they're beginning to have jury trials, and you might have jury impaneling rooms. So depending on the summer months, that really drives our utility consumption, especially in the electric category. But in energy and water, we reduced that to reflect where we think we're going to finish this year. The same is true of natural gas and electricity. And part of that is due to the fact of our work with ABM and ATA. And so we're seeing a savings there. I didn't increase our fuel. I did put a note in my details that was predicated on fuel costs remaining the same. I know they have gone up recently, but I'm hoping by the time this budget goes into effect that maybe some of that will have calmed down. Small equipment is no increase. That's just our hand tools, tool replacement sometimes. No increase in supplies and other parts. We use that line item to maintain the clock in this building. I did increase cleaning supplies just a little to cover the cost of increases that we're seeing on our end. A lot of that is driven by the coronavirus, and so I did up that $2,000. Then there's a small incremental increase on our uniforms as well, just contract pricing. And that is it for my budget. Last year in 2022, I was at $1,316,859,000, and this year, if everything goes like we want it to, I'm at $1,284,761, which is a savings of $32,098. So I'm trying hard.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions?
Any questions, guys? Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Reverend. I mean, you're doing terrific, great job. And must be followed. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you, Commissioner.
I was kind of, I think I may have heard it before about the $400 for the, I guess for the lease of a piece of property. Are we talking about the parking space beyond the public defenders?
The little parking area beside the public defender, all the way up to the concrete trail,
Okay.
that little strip of land right
Yeah,
there
okay.
is what we're talking about.
Okay.
It belongs to Norfolk Southern.
Okay.
And we just have an agreement with them.
Right.
And so it'll go up. Brittany helped me. There's a formula that they use, but this year it went up by $400. But I'm not sure. There's a formula that they use to determine that, and every year it's gone up about that same amount. Mm-hmm.
Anyone else?
Well,
Thank
if
you, sir.
not, let me thank you guys for allowing me a few moments to present my budget to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Animal Services. Ms. Cindy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, on our budget, the majority of our budget is driven by adoptions, number of animals being housed at the shelter, and the request for service. And so, as I go through this, keep that in mind that, especially on the adoption part, that is also going to be offset by increase in adoption fees. So, when you go through it, the things that have been changed, medical services, that number's actually gone down a little bit because of our upcoming contract in doing the spay-neuter surgeries at the shelter rather than sending them to Planned Parenthood. The medical services will actually go down, but that causes an increase in our medical supplies budget, which is farther down. There is a slight increase that I've asked for in one is the garbage and disposal pickup, and that's just basically because we're going to go over budget this year by having, I guess, more trash that we've needed to take to the landfill. Repairs and maintenance building, I have asked for a small increase in that also. That is in part due to the 1-year warranty of the new facility, the new addition, the 1-year warranty has ended, so some of the repairs that we were able to put under warranty last year, and that this is just minor repairs. We may need to replace a guillotine door. We may need to just do small little things that were previously under warranty. When you go down to telephone, pagers, and mobile, there is a significant increase in that. That is due to having additional staff. Last year, I was allowed to hire 4 additional field service officers. With those people, we also need to supply them with cell phones and the computers where they can enter their reports, bite reports, and that type of stuff into our Shelter Buddy, which is the software program that we maintain all our records on. Skip down to education and training. That again is due to additional staff. We have more staff, so we have more staff that needs to be trained. General operating supplies, I've just asked for a little bit more. Again, that is basically just due to having more staff. Let's see. Just looking for the medical supply budget. For some reason I'm not. That one has increased significantly. There's a couple reasons for that. One is because we're going to be doing the surgeries in-house rather than having the animals transported to Planned Parenthood. That is in part offset by the decrease in medical services. 2, there's been a Merck veterinary supplier who for years has offered a significant discount for shelters for our vaccine program for shelters. They discontinued that program pretty much across the board to everybody across the country. That is doubled our cost of our core vaccinations that we give the animals. But in doing that, some of this is just kind of swapped around, and I'll get back to more on that, but the small equipment budget has been decreased. When Merck decided to cut the vaccine discount program, I contacted our Merck representative, and he then agreed that the Home Again microchips that we get, that we formerly paid $10 each for, he dropped that price in half. So I was able to negotiate. It won't completely make up for the difference in the vaccine cost, but it is a significant reduction. We are implanting between 900 and 1,000 microchips a year, so a savings of $5 each on those is the best I could do. But the majority of the medical supplies is going to be, because we will now be supplying the suture material, all the supplies needed for doing surgery. And so that's where we'll have to have oxygen tanks, all that type of stuff that we've already gone through with the agreement with Planned Parenthood. And let's see. The other increases in uniforms, and then again, that is directly related to the increase in staff. So, but a few of the overall reasons for some of the increase is, like I said, it has to do with the adoptions. Our adoption percentage of outgoing animals has increased from about 19% in 2019 to 38% last year. We will be going well over budget on our expected revenue for adoption fees, and so the more adoptions we do, the more it costs, because we're supplying all the vaccinations, the microchip, and the surgery for those. I did ask for one capital expense, that's automatic gate. When the officers come in at night, their trucks are only about 1 foot to 2 foot off the road while they open the gate. And that is a public safety hazard for cars that are coming. Additionally, there's have been times when officers at night have actually been followed back to the shelter by an irate person. So in one case, they actually had to drive by and go find law enforcement before they would even open the gate, and that's for their safety. But the biggest issue is that the trucks are just parked too close to the road at night, with cars coming down, flying down Lower River Road. I did also ask for one reclassification that is related to the number of staff that we now have, and with the addition of the surgery suite, I am requesting that we have one new person, or one of the field officers reassigned as a shelter supervisor. That would allow for one person to assist me in making sure that we have all the supplies for surgery. And we are hoping also to be able to do more partnerships programs. Chairman was there and Jarvis was there on Saturday. We had a great outreach clinic with free vaccinations for the first 200 pets. We're hoping that we can possibly do more of that type of outreach. And I think that was pretty much it for the major budget things. Are there any questions?
Thank you. Any questions, Commissioner Henderson?
I believe Commissioner Sanders have a few long questions, but I have a couple of short ones. Okay. And maybe it's more of to our county manager. I've been receiving complaints, and don't mind receiving complaints. And the complaints that I have received was about somebody calling and said, well, you know, I got a cat, or cats, or dogs. And they were telling me that when they call, say, well, you know, we may need to call the Rockdale Animal Shelter in order to get the cat picked up, or for a cage, or for that particular services. And the reason why I mention that, do we need more money in the budget to get some cages or traps, or something for dogs and cats, so that when somebody in Newton County may call, say, I got an animal, that will be able to put the trap down, catch the animal, and take them to the shelter? I mean, that's a question I'm asking, because it's a question that's been asked several times to me, and especially in the town area. That's one of the questions.
Okay. If I may ask the Animal Service Director to answer that question, she might have more firsthand knowledge on that situation.
First, I have no record of any of my staff telling somebody who lived in Newton County to ever call Rockdale County. I know you've brought that up in past Board of Commissioners meetings. I have asked all my staff, and hopefully if that ever did happen, it will never happen again. We serve the residents of Newton County, and Rockdale County would never have jurisdiction to come into Newton County, nor would we go into Rockdale County. We do have plenty of traps. We set the dog traps, but we have quite a few traps that we allow for cats if people want to set a cat trap and bring the cats in. We do limit the number that we will put out at a time, but that is because of the limited cage space. If somebody brings in a stray cat, we are required to hold that cat for 3 full business days, which in most cases means it's going to be 5 days of cage space. We don't count the first day, and the last day the cat would still be there. And we only have about 25 cat cages, so we can't put out 15 traps because we would not have room to hold the animals. That answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. It's my second question. My second question is that I called myself personally. I called concerning Nelson Heights. When the cat's about to run me out of my house for whatever reason, maybe because we throw waste in the trash can. And there was some wild dogs that had beyond the fenced-in area of it that was up in the woods. And occasionally they would come out and bark at the kids swinging on the swings. And so I had called, and just a little bit before you wasn't here, I called the Miss Jackie Smith before Mr. Buck. I said, well, we got wild dogs, and we never did get nobody to bring a trap or nothing. We were just kind of concerned about that particular issue. That was the second one. And third and last one was that somebody calling on me about a year and a half ago and said that I had some malnutritious puppies in my yard. And the gentleman from the animal control came, and I was talking to him. He said, well, Mr. Henderson, well, you got some malnutritious dogs in your yard? I said, wait a minute, let me go look out here and see if what I got in my yard, my backyard, because it's got like a wooden fence, and in the back. And before I could look at my backyard, he was walking through the gate. And I said, well, I didn't give you permission to come in my backyard. And he said, well, man, your statute shouldn't want. I said, wait, do you see any dogs back here? And the reason why I bring this up, because I don't like dogs. I don't like cats. As far as keeping them in my house, I don't like that. And so, you know, I thought it was kind of trespass, and I just kind of ignored it. But I was wanting you to know that I think if any citizen, you have a complaint, and they have an enclosed backyard, I think you should wait for the property owner's permission to come and go in that backyard. I might have nothing to hide on anything, but I thought that was kind of disrespectful, not only to me and my property, but I just thought about the regular citizens in Newton County who that would be also disrespectful to. So we bring it up and hoping that it get better instead of worse. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing it to my attention, and I'll look into it, Mr. Commissioner. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Commissioner Sanders.
No, you're fine. I see there's a $63,000 increase, and I know you said that was due to the medical supplies, and maybe Brittany can refresh my memory. What did we vote for to increase the dollars for? I know it was the operation machines and stuff like that for the animal services. What was the cost for that? We voted sometime this year or last year for, or maybe you know, Miss, the amount that we approved to.
For this equipment?
Yeah, to start the operation process.
To start it was $50,000. At this time, I am in the process of of getting the bids for the equipment now that we have the contract with Planned Parenthood, and I think that will come in under budget. I think there will be some savings there. But when I was initially looking at the equipment, and that was, I believe it was like last July or August, and then with COVID and all that type, it took a while to get some of the bids in, and then it also took a while to get the agreement with Planned Parenthood. But there was $50,000 allocated, and that is for the equipment. That most of that equipment has a life expectancy of 10+ years, which is why you won't see the entire amount, the savings for the first year. It was going to be, through several years of lower medical services, medical supplies, a lower cost of medical services. But then when you figure in at that time, I didn't know there was going to be the doubling of the cost of the vaccines that goes into the medical supplies, and but a lot of we'll be getting the supplies. Long term, I do feel that there still will be significant savings because some of these costs with the vaccines would have happened regardless of whether we were doing surgery here or not.
Because that was my concern, because one of the reasons why I know we explained to vote for that was that there will be some revenue coming in and that we would see a savings. But what I'm seeing, just from my opinion, that it's going to cost us more now having this operational process on site, because it is a $53,000 increase. So is that going to happen every year, or are we going to, or it's going to definitely be offset from us getting revenue from doing surgeries on site? Because if it's costing the county more money, then I don't know if that, on our part, was that a good idea?
If I go back and I look, okay, so one of the biggest increases is actually in the vaccinations. With the increase from the supplier who is no longer giving the shelter discount, that was a 50% discount on the vaccine costs. So when you're talking with dogs to get 2 vaccines, that's about $10 a dog more just for the core vaccinations. So when you're looking at, we're placing, last calendar year we did just under 900 adoptions. So at $10 more an animal for the vaccines, you're talking increase of $9,000 just in the vaccine cost that would have been regardless of us doing the surgery. So that kind of, but the saving with the equipment, it was going to be a long-term savings, not a first-year savings. So, the medical services was dropped significantly. Basically, it's the $1,000 a week that we would be paying.
So for the vaccine,
rather than rather than the many cases, we're paying close to $3,000 a week if we sterilize around 30 animals. So it's a long-term thing. Like I said, that life expectancy of that equipment, for the most part, is 10+ years.
So is that the only supplier that's out there for the vaccines for animals? Do we need to do a bid to get a cheaper supplier?
I'm looking for that because Merck had such a great shelter program that the vaccine costs were significantly lower. I have looked at other manufacturers, and they are all about the same as Merck is now without the discount. Okay. Maybe a few cents here or there, but they are still very much the same. And if we change suppliers, we would also lose a $5 per microchip discount. So after figuring all those things out, we still will be better off staying with the same supplier, but the price is basically the same as with any other supplier.
My only concern, Mr. Sims, is that hopefully we'll see a decrease because we did vote to put this in place. And if there's not a revenue offsetting this, then the citizens is gonna be looking at us like, what did y'all do
Well,
to increase?
we had budgeted for $100,000 in adoption revenue, but if, looking at where we are now, figuring we're 2 or 3/4 of the year, I'm looking at probably having adoption revenue of around, or shelter fees of around $115,000. So that's one of the things that when I'm trying to budget this, you're not seeing the revenue part of the adoptions. Last year, toward the end of the year, we actually had to do a budget amendment because the medical services was going to go over budget, but that was 100% caused by the adoptions being over budget, because for every animal that's adopted, there's cost to that animal, and so it's offset by revenue. And so
And
that's
if
where
I
it's-
may add, Commissioner, that's what I was about to say. We are showing the increase, however, the director is also showing an increase with the adoptions. And that's a positive thing for the county, where we have our residents coming in and adopting our pets. But we will look at the costs, as you indicated, to see if there's some potential cost savings.
Anyone else? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Al.
Thank you. Next, we have EMA, Wendy. Y'all, please keep the Jody Nolan, the director, in your prayers. He still is battling a serious illness, so thank you for being here this morning.
Yes, thank you. He appreciates those prayers, as well as the entire EMA office. So, good morning, everyone. Let's see. I just want to start with our with a decrease with our personnel. We do have a position for an EMA technician hazmat that we have requested to be classified as part-time now, so that will be an approximate decrease of about $12,000 to $15,000 plus the benefits, medical, all of the things that come along with a full-time position. The next increase that we have would be for repairs and maintenance for equipment. This is quite a significant increase, as we are looking to hopefully relocate 3 of our severe weather sirens. Currently, they are on private property as agreements, things that were set many, many years ago. But now we're running into issues with these properties being put up for sale, new owners, the owners living out of state. We have one that the power has been cut off because it is private property. So Georgia Power has cut the power off to that particular weather siren. So this increase is requesting, would cover the cost of us relocating some of those sirens to county property, county buildings, whatever we need to do in that same general area. Okay, the next increase, well, yes, would be with our education and training. With public safety, we know that that's a continual thing. EMA does sponsor our dive team that responds to our drownings. Anything, evidence collection for the Sheriff's Department, they're used for that as well. We have training involved with that. We also have, for our other public safety, we have requested some dive water swift training, some confined space training to work with fire, public works, as well as our industry. We have a lot of industry in our county, and that's growing. We're trying to maintain some good relationships with them for first response, for our emergency response, hazardous materials, those kind of things. And then just some general basic training for our employees that we would like to offer to them. Due to COVID, a lot of our trainings have been cut short. They've been canceled completely, or you can only get 5 to 10 participants. We're really hoping, and then every time we would get back on like a good schedule, a spike would happen, then we would just kind of be in the same boat. So we would really like to get as much training for our public safety as we can, caught up with that. Our other contracted services, we use this line item for our training needs as well with our auto extrication class. There's a fee for our towing companies to bring these vehicles out for our public safety to practice and train for those to better help our citizens. As we all know, everything is going up. We also have this for need of any type of thing that could come up as an emergency that EMA would respond to that would fall under that. Let's see. Our small equipment line item, we have there's an increase in that as we are requesting some additional material. We, again, are working with our industries for training for our hazmat operations. A lot of our industries have reportable quantities of hazardous materials. There's things that our public safety need for these type of operations for their own safety. Different confined space rescue, tactical chest harnesses, those are just different things that we have requested this year. Emergency services, PPE, our personal protective equipment has risen greatly. We do supply masks and the hand sanitizer and things like that for our county buildings when they request. So that's just a general increase in that. There's a decrease in our uniforms, a small decrease in that line item. As far as a capital request, again, this year we are requesting for a new EMA vehicle. One of our vehicles is currently over 20 years old. And these are emergency response vehicles. We use them for, like I said, an emergency response, whether it's a bridge collapse or severe weather affecting areas. We do use these as emergency response vehicles. So it's over 20 years old. It's just suffering a lot of issues that we've taken for fleet, and they're always willing to do and repair. It's just sometimes they just get worn out. So that's a request that we have put in for this year's budget again. Just an update on our vaccine clinic that we did back in the summer. We are expecting, with all of the paperwork that was turned in by us through FEMA and then up through GMA, we are expecting a reimbursement from FEMA in approximately $292,000. I just checked with GMA this morning. Everything is good with FEMA, and we're just waiting on them to cut the check, basically. It was a service that was provided to our Newton County residents, and it was needed, and we were glad to be able to assist with that. We were also glad to be able to get some reimbursement back to the county for those expenses. That's pretty much all I have as far as just the high points of our budget. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner Sanders?
Okay.
And Commissioner Mason.
I had a conversation with Mr. Nolan. I don't know if you were actually on that conversation. Does any of this include updating the software to alert the citizens? On the west side, I know you're familiar with the tornado that happened by the Chick-fil-A.
Right.
And a lot of them did not get any notification, and they didn't know it was coming until it hit.
Right.
And it could have been a dangerous situation. So we need to find a way, because we do have a $132,000 increase. Is some of that a part of alerting our citizens when we have natural disasters, so they know to vacate or whatever? Because code red, I keep it on my phone, it doesn't work.
Okay.
It doesn't work. And on the west side, we do not get alerts. So that's the scary part. I'm thankful that nobody got hurt, but if you look at the damage, if somebody would have got hurt, it would have been very serious.
Right.
And with them not even being alerted that a tornado's coming.
Right. Yes, with the relocation of the sirens, we are hoping to also include maybe some possible new sirens. A weather siren will cover about 1/4 of a mile within a severe weather situation. If it's a beautiful, clear, sunny day, you could hear it extended beyond that. But about 1/4 of a mile is what you will get when it's raining, wind, thunder, all of those type of things. The county is 276 square miles. So for us to cover every 1/4 of a mile, we're talking about 1,000 sirens at 10 to 12,000, well, about 15,000 now. So we are working on other ways. We do have Code Red, but that is a program that people have to sign up for themselves. We're trying to, part of our budget here is some campaigns to reach all of the citizens, to help them sign up for these things, to be aware, other programs, other software that we can look into. Also, coordinated with Code Red is iPause, which is a program that FEMA puts out. It kind of goes hand in hand with Code Red, so we're looking to hopefully integrate with that system, and it can reach all areas where they'll be alerted on their cell phone, not something that they have to subscribe to. It's something, if you were traveling on I-20 and you live in South Carolina and you're just headed home, it will alert your phone when you're in that area. So we are looking into that software with FEMA that they have provided.
Commissioner Mason and then Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for this presentation today. I may have missed it because I was kind of going through each line item to see where the increases or the decreases were, but I saw a significant increase under the repairs and maintenance equipment.
Yes, sir.
I think it was a $50,500 increase, and I'm trying to figure out what was that
That was
increase.
for the relocation of the current sirens that are on private property.
Okay.
We need 24-hour access to these. If something goes wrong with them, if they're taken out, we need to be able to get our companies in to be able to make these repairs. And currently, with a few of them, we do not have that access.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Henderson. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Do you think we need some sort of a master plan as far as where we might want to put those, I guess, sirens, let people know of emergency, some type of plan that we need to put in place so that we can kind of cover the unincorporated and maybe parts of the in-city areas in Newton County? I just think we need a plan, because it concerned me too as well about the tornado that came through, and people didn't even know.
Right.
And they should have known something, somehow or another. Secondly, you were saying about the sirens, that some of the ones that we do have, because of people selling their property, and they're supposed to sell this stuff. But should we not have, as a board, something in place, or think about some type of condemnation, because to make sure that siren stay in place so that we can alert our citizens, I'm not a condemnation man for taking people property, but when it comes to public safety, I mean, what is a third of an acre or whatever it takes to have that siren in place for the safety of us all? So I think there's something that I guess I'm directing this also for our county manager, maybe think about, to somehow or other keep those in place. The sirens that they talking about moving and
Yes,
they
sir, I
cut
was
off.
taking those notes, taking what you were saying in.
Okay, thank you, you own it. Thank you, Ms. Sims. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next is Public Works and Fleet Maintenance. Chris and Malcolm and Mr. Chester, guys, if you would come on down.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman,
Thank
for having
you.
us. I'm Chester Clegg, Chris Malcolm, Public Works Director, the Transportation Director. And we're here today to talk about Public Works and Fleet. And as you know, the primary responsibility of Public Works is providing a safe and efficient and clean transportation system. I want to just highlight a few things that we've done this year, this 2022 fiscal year. Chris's crew has paved over, resurfaced over 20 miles of county roads with county forces. Paved 5 miles of the Cricket Frog Trail this year. He's worked 4 crews daily picking up trash, and I hope that you can see the improvement from last year. with the crews out there, since we don't have the sheriff's, the inmates helping us out, we've had to resort to, to temp workers in our own crews. We continued our herbicide treatment, weed and grass suppression. Basically, we spray the grass to control the growth, and it cuts down on what we have to cut with our tractors. We did build a ball field over at Nielsen Heights. We will be beginning construction on 2 major bridges on Brown Bridge Road before the end of the 2022 fiscal year. That'd be at Yellow River and Snapping Shoals. We'll be starting construction on the roundabout at Jack Neely and Kirkland Road here in the next month or so. And we will be presenting a transit master plan to the board here in the next month or so. It's just been completed here, and it will be completed in the next couple weeks. We're having 17 of our bridges thoroughly inspected, and we'll be launching a maintenance program on those next year. We'll be kicking off the engineering on the Dial Mill Road at Little Haynes Creek Bridge before the end of this fiscal year. And we've replaced over 2,000 feet of sidewalk that's been damaged, most of that in the Riverwalk subdivision. And then the bridge replacement at Benton Road and West Bear Creek, we got it programmed this year. The GDOT's going to replace that one for us for free. I don't know if you've been across it. It's an old wooden bridge, so it's one of the last ones in the county, I believe. So we're excited about getting that one upgraded. Some of the things we'd like to do this next year, in fiscal year 2023, Chris is again continue the resurfacing program with at least 20 miles of road being resurfaced next year. We got 1 mile left of in Mansfield to pave of the Cricket Frog Trail, and that's been approved by the board, so we'll be doing that. We'll continue to work on the short-term goals in the master transportation plan, which include the big projects like Coral Road and I-20, bridge replacements and such. And of course, the roadside cleanup. We're going to continue to do that and boost that a little bit if we can. Sidewalk repair, continue with that, and we are working on our dirt road paving program. Have got one designed, ready to go, so for next year. So we're excited about that. A couple things that we're not asking for any more additional personnel. There's only a couple things in the Public Works budget that have increased significantly. One is a $30,000 ad for to expand the number of temp workers that we have for our roadside cleanup. And then the other one is, of course, we're going to run over on fuel costs this year just due to the increase in fuel. So I put in an extra $40,000 to cover that diesel fuel and gasoline. So I don't know if you have any questions about the Public Works budget. We're here to answer them.
Y'all want to do both and then let them ask questions?
Okay, well, yes, well, I can go ahead and, you want me to go through, let me go through the fleet, and then we'll entertain the questions. Okay, so fleet is fleet is a separate budget, but it's under the Public Works Director, Chris Malcolm. And fleet provides the maintenance and service for all the county vehicles, although the sheriff does take some of his vehicles to have them serviced elsewhere at some time, some of the vehicles, but fire and the other departments, fleet takes care of that. There's a couple increases in fleet that we would request. One is in the parts that we have to buy. It's gonna run this year probably 20% over, and we would request an additional 20% for next year. And then There's outside services, which is basically contract services to fix specialty equipment on fire trucks and stuff like that we can't do in-house. We'd request a 10% increase in that. But that's about it for fleet, so.
Okay.
So any questions about either one of those?
Any questions, guys? Commissioner Henderson?
Thank you. Thank you. And I guess this question, well, first of all, I'd like to thank y'all for the services y'all do for the county. Mr. Malcolm, you too as well. And I'm going back to what we had discussed before Mr. Sims came aboard as our county manager. And we had discussed about it, Nelson Heights, the road department was supposed to come over that piece of property that adjourns to it and grade it down so that we, I guess at grade level, lack of the right term, so that we could at some point do, at the very least, do a football field, excuse me, / track field there too. And I'm hoping that we can get around and do it, you know, whenever time would permit you to do it, because it's something that we do in-house. We're gonna do in-house for that particular piece of property. And the discussion that we had was, there was an agreement that we kind of haven't, and I use a lack of a better word, kept our word for doing over there and on some other projects. But this is just for over there for the roads department. And we're hoping that y'all can go over and do that, grade it, and so we can hopefully grass it and let it grow, and then maybe at some point, if it's still on my watch, that we can go ahead and do that track field / football field, the one that Ms. Cheryl Delp Franklin, the late Cheryl Delp Franklin, had drew the plans out for. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One question, I saw the reimbursement of salaries, $235. Can you explain that? I don't know what that is.
So Public Works doesn't really have any funds in our general budget to do paving, resurfacing, anything like that. So we have several different places that we can get. One's 2017 spliced. We also have some impact fees and, of course, our LMIC funds that we get from GDOT, which is about $1.5 million a year. But we have a match that we have to do for those. So for our LMIC program, for example, we have a 30% match, and we're using our Public Works equipment and Public Works labor. They're funded out of the general fund. But we reimburse those back to the general fund at FEMA rates so that we can meet budget. So for a person, there's a line item for reimbursable expenses in personnel, and then there's a separate line item for in equipment. And I think it adds up to about $550,000.
Okay, thank you. Last question. I know when you all came before us last year, and we were really dealing with the roadside waste cleanup issue. I know the board asked about possibly having some type of receiving a schedule of when that happens. I know we never did receive it last year, so I was wanting to know, is that a challenge to create because it's so?
It is, mainly
okay.
Because of staffing issues.
Right.
Like right now, we try every day to run at least 4 crews.
Okay.
We're down to 2 and 3 right now because we just can't get enough out there. And we tried to put a schedule together, but we were looking at 1 month in particular when it looked like we had more help than normal. And about halfway through it, it just kind of fell apart. So we were really hesitant to put it out there because we didn't want people to think we were just fabricating a story. We just wanted to see if we could get some kind of timeline together. We can probably do it now. It's probably going to be a little more extended than what we would like because, like I said, we're running about 8 out of 16 temps right now. So, you know, we'll be glad to put it together, but don't use it like a Bible.
Yeah, just know it can be right, flexible.
Yep.
Basically, it can change.
It's going to be extremely difficult to stick to it right now.
Okay. Because I do the Newton Cleanup Project, where we clean up every single month, I did notice that there were quite a few that I've seen in normal on Salem Road. Right now, the area from the Kroger Shopping Center on Kirkland Road all the way down to the campground is really, really bad. And so we took the opportunity to actually kind of clean that area up a couple weeks ago, but now it seems like it's kind of bad all over again. So maybe if we can kind of really look at the major thoroughfares like Salem Road, Brown Bridge, and a little bit more in depth in those areas where we're getting more, and just concentrate on those areas. Hopefully we can kind of help eliminate it. I know we'll do our part in District 2 to try to help in that area as well, because we're cleaning up every single month. So we have volunteers out there trying to help with that same area or with the same objective as well. But really, I've seen a lot more on that Salem Road in that area right there from the campground over to Kirkland Road kind of get real bad.
We're trying to hold, like Brown Bridge Road, the bypass, I think Kirkland, Jack Neely, we're trying to hit them about every 10 to 12 days.
Yeah.
Usually 2 days after we're gone, they're
Right.
back trashed again, but we're
Right.
trying to stay on top of those major roads. Now, like Salem Road, being a state road, we don't pick it up. I think y'all have been picking it up.
Right.
And we've been picking up the debris that they would maybe pile in a location, which is great. The state contracts most of that out. I think Loving is the contractor that does theirs, but I think they're only picking up like maybe twice a year. So, you know, that's something that we could always look into, see if we could get some more citizen groups together that could pick up, schedule a time for us to come out and actually load the garbage. We wouldn't have a bit of problem doing that. It's just, but we do not pick up on the state roads right now.
Okay.
It's just the county routes.
Okay. Now we do have some where we did the cleanup. We do have some bags, and I think it was like a little small, kind of like mattress that's there near the auto zone.
Right.
So I guess whenever if we can get an opportunity to maybe get that.
We can schedule, come pick that up.
Okay.
That won't be a problem at all.
That'll be excellent. So I'll notify you guys of that as well. But thank you for everything that you do, and we'll do our part as the citizenry, as well as leadership, to kind of help address this concern as well until we can kind of get a handle on it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
County Manager, then Commissioner Henderson.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to add that Chris and Chester get calls or texts from me often about areas in the county that we need to kind of address, and I wanted to acknowledge them, as well as Keep Newton Beautiful. We had a cleanup project this weekend. I was able to participate, some other staff members. So we understand and hear you all's concerns about keeping our community clean, and we're working on it.
Thank you, Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you. And I just wanted to piggyback on that a little bit and then ask my question, is that I think we need to have more education, maybe with the citizens to get them involved. I mean, you always can hire somebody to go pick up some trash, and they'll do it because they want to get paid for it. But when you engage the citizenry in the county, and sometimes they'll do it for nothing. I know it works pretty good in Nelson Heights and Green Acres. But also something I learned too, that when you don't have a place that you can go and take that stuff and they take it from you, they throw it on the ground, throw it on the side of the street. And so some people have told me, say, well, I'm not going to pay to have stuff picked up that we used to just take it over to the recycling centers and put in it. But here's my question I wanted to ask. Is there anybody, maybe it may be to finance, in the public works that makes under $15 an hour?
Yes, and all of our operator one positions, our new positions, start out at, I think, 14.21. So that's, we've had some open positions for, I'd say at least 4 to 5 months that we can't fill.
Right, because it's too low.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think, like McDonald's, I had heard today, starts out paying at around $18 an hour.
Yeah, and my little girl, she's not my daughter, but I'm adopting her. She lives with us, She's turning 14. She'll make $15 an hour at McDonald's. And I would dread to go over there and get a cup of coffee because she might not make it right. But, you know, she's going to grow into it. But, and that's why I said we need to start thinking, and I guess maybe I'm addressing this problem, this Towle County Manager, Mr. Sims, is that we're not going to attract good people until we start paying them.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Sanders.
I always look at numbers, so when I say the numbers, don't get offended. I see the increase of $482,000. So I do see where it's needed in various areas, but my question is, I didn't hear if there was gonna be a project for widening Brown Bridge Road. Are y'all putting that in place? Because I'm getting, the reason why I'm asking that question, I'm getting a lot of developers, and I think some called you as well, putting projects on Brown Bridge, and the citizens are giving me pushback because it's already traffic on Brown Bridge. So is there a process in place or a date that you saying might occur?
Well, we don't have any money in the general budget
That's what I thought.
to initiate any sort of project for that. I mean, all those major projects have to have a different source of funding. And we are we got some federal money, which will combine with some SPLOST money to start the engineering on that widening this summer. So as soon as I think the federal money becomes available on July 1st, so we'll be putting out RFQs for engineers to begin that process. Okay. But from Walmart to Kroll, including in upgrading that intersection at Kroll, I mean, we're looking at we're probably looking at $25 million.
That's what I thought.
And that's just not something, like I said, in the general budget that we can do anything with.
I understand. But thank you for the information, because I needed to know that, because I'm getting calls, and I was like, I need to find out that information. Thank you so much.
But we are hoping that will be one of the SPLOST projects, because I'm telling you, you wouldn't believe how many calls we get about Brown Bridge Road. So we are hoping that will be considered to be one of the SPLOST projects. Oh my God.
The good news about that, project is that we have the right-of-way, almost all the right-of-way. It's a 100-foot right-of-way, so that's a hang-up on a lot of projects. And we're only doing a 3-lane, so I think once we get it going, it can move pretty quickly.
There's some infrastructure dollars that are coming, and we already conversed with the county manager about that, but that might assist as well, because there's billions of dollars that's coming down, but we have to apply for them for grants, so that
we're
might
looking
help.
at that to see, and they're still sorting it out, up in Washington, is how it's going to be allocated. I heard today that some of it, generally speaking, well, almost in every case, the federal dollars for transportation always comes through the Georgia Department of Transportation, is administered by them, and then we end up being the subrecipient as the county. But I heard today that some of the federal dollars will be
coming directly
to us as the primary recipient. And so we're still sorting through that to figure out how that's going to work.
I don't want us to bank on SPLOST, because what I'm hearing in the community, it may or may not pass. So that's why I'm trying to make sure that we have the funding there. Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else? You had anything? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Guys, we greatly appreciate it. Thank you. We are ready for lunch, guys. Y'all ready for lunch? All right. Well, we're gonna come back at no. I think lunch is here. I think lunch is lunch is here. I'm not sure what it is, but it's here. We'll come back at 1:15. Come on, talk to us. Go ahead. Bless the food. Yep. Commissioner's gonna bless the food. Yep.
Jennifer, thank you for what we've heard this morning concerning our budget. And we're asking, my Father, that you bless the food that we're about to eat. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.